Newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson has already started a feud with the White House and the Senate over his decision to eliminate any money for the war in Ukraine from the president's proposed supplemental request for both Ukraine and Israel. He'll be meeting with Senate Republicans over lunch today, but the Democratic Majority Leader has already declared his verdict on the proposal.
The House GOP proposal is not going anywhere. It's dead before it even is voted on.
Joining us now is the powerful chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Republican Congressman Mike McCaul. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for being with us. So do you think that there is some running room here to negotiate maybe a smaller amount for Ukraine, some combination, so that this fight could be averted? Because there's so little time before November 17th, and you still have to vote some kind of continuing legislation resolution to keep the government open.
No, I think your point's right. We have limited floor time right now. So we're going to pass this measure on Israel to show our support for Israel. But to your point, Andrea, all these threats, in my judgment, are linked together. That's what I've told my leadership. That's what I've told the White House. They agree that you cannot dissect Putin from Hamas, from Iran, from China. They're all aligned together. And therefore, I think at the end of the day, I think the Senate is going to have a package that includes all these threats that we're seeing right now, from Putin to Ukraine and Europe, from Chairman Xi to Taiwan and the Pacific, to the Ayatollah in Iran against Israel, and also the last line of defense being the border itself, to secure the border so these threats can't come into the United States. I think that's the most logical way to present this argument.
And there's new information today, Mr. Chairman, from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, that you know, that we're talking about 26.8, almost $27 billion shortfall. So the proposal is to take the money from IRS crackdown enforcement against wealthy taxpayers, tax evaders, shall we say, but that it's actually not budget neutral, nor should, I mean, there is an argument that this doesn't have to be budget neutral. It's a crisis.
Right, and I think, CBO scoring, they're calculating the amount of revenue that could be captured by more IRS agents.
Right.
I would have to beg to differ a little bit. I think wealthy people know, they have attorneys and accountants. I think having worked at the Department of Justice in the past and with our IRS agents who are very good, they're going to try to find cases, and the ones that are easiest are probably the middle class to lower upper income. Those are the cases that will make. But, my side of the aisle, look, we need a victory on the House floor. I think the Speaker's trying to hold this very fractured, conference together, and he thinks this is the best way to move forward, to proceed with Israel, take something that's very popular with Republicans back home, and that is attacking the IRS. And so, look, this is our first opening salvo. It's not how the movie's going to end. I do think it's going to end, Andrea, with the 4 threats, as I outlined, put together, coming over from the Senate.
That's very important context. Let me ask you about what we're seeing today, the handful, maybe, of Americans getting out through that Rafah crossing. The Secretary of State has been working for 2 weeks on this. They've been in limbo. What is, how do you interpret this against the counterpoint of these massive hits up north by Israel, they say, aimed at getting Hamas leadership out of those tunnels?
Well, I mean, let's not forget who started this. Hamas, a very deliberate terrorist attack. I've seen a lot of the video footage. It's actually just, it's horrifying to see what they did, and I won't get into the graphics of it. But having said that, I think what Israel is doing now is a slow, deliberate campaign in the north and east. I think what's important to know, and I've talked to Cindy McCain, the World Food Program, they're very good in combat situations, getting aid in. The trucks now have gone from like 14 to now 100 per day of giving, bringing medicine and food in. But if you look at the battlefield right now in central Gaza, you can see what the IDF, the Israeli troops, are starting to do. They want to blockade northern Gaza from southern Gaza and then create a humanitarian zone, if you will, in southern Gaza, where I think this relief can be more readily deployed and to get people out of there as well, particularly the dual citizens that are both have American citizenship and Palestinian. It would be great if Egypt would take some of them, or UAE or Saudi, but they won't, unfortunately. And so we're kind of dealt with the cards we have. But I think that's a strategy, is to isolate southern Gaza and turn it into a humanitarian zone away from Hamas in the north.
I want to ask you about one of your colleagues, fellow Texan Kay Granger, the appropriations chairman, announcing she's not seeking re-election. She was one of the leaders of the way to block Jim Jordan from becoming speaker. So there's continuing fallout from that very damaging speaker fight, right?
Well, I'm going to miss Kay. I've known her for a long time, and she finally reached the pinnacle, Andrea. I mean, chairwoman of the Appropriations Committee is the most powerful position in the House, the power of the purse. You know, I think it's been hard. When you're the lead appropriator under attack all the time, it's not easy. I'm going to miss her as a friend, but also as an effective colleague. I think she's done a really fantastic job trying to navigate these difficult waters in the House, being the chairman of appropriations. And, you know, she'll always be my friend, and I wish her the best. You know, it's sad when you see the good ones leaving the House, you know. We have many coming in, but when the really good ones end up exiting, for me, it's a sad moment, and I just pay tribute and honor to her service to the country.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, how concerned are you about the FBI Director Chris Wray's warnings yesterday that the red lights are flashing at a level not seen since the start of ISIS for an inspired lone actor here to commit some terror here in the homeland?
Yeah, I share that concern. When I chaired the Homeland Security Committee, it was at a critical time when ISIS and the Caliphate was really on the march, not only in Syria and Iraq and the Middle East, but the inspired homegrown attacks in the United States. So we don't want to see a repeat of that, because I remember just the sermons of al-Awlaki being on the internet, inspiring people in the United States to attack Americans in the United States. I think he's correct. I think the threat is there, but let's hope it doesn't escalate to that level. But in the age of the internet and cyberspace, it's very easy to inspire attacks in the United States if you have a vision of killing. And Hamas is a terrorist organization. They're also aligned, with Hezbollah, with Iran itself. This all roads lead to Iran in this, and I think Iran has every intention to kill as many Americans as they can. And what better way than through homegrown attacks inspired over the internet?
There's a lot there. Congressman Mike McCaul, thank you very much. Appreciate it.